Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel where I challenge myself to make something I've never made before every week. Today I'm making 韭菜盒, or Chinese chive boxes. Today's recipe was inspired by a post that my friend made concerning an article that called 韭菜盒 fusion food, and why that was hurtful to the Chinese and Chinese American community. And since I'm Chinese American and have a cooking channel, I thought that I would give some of my thoughts on this article as well, and talk about why some of the things said in this article were both inaccurate and inconsiderate to the Chinese community. So unfortunately, I might not talk about the recipe too much today, but I do have an ASMR version of this video up if you want to focus on the cooking itself. Okay, that was a long intro and I have a lot more to say, so let's just get started. So first, let's look at the article in question, titled Unusual Eats Chive Calzone at Sunrise Asian Supermarket. At first glance, it just seems like an article that's talking about the cool fresh eats that you can get at this Asian supermarket. But if we take a closer look at one of the paragraphs in the middle, it says this. This is how we found the chive calzone. Yes, that calzone. It's true fusion. Barring the fact that I'm not really sure what the writer means by that calzone, there are a couple things that are wrong with these sentences. The first being the inaccuracy of the term chive calzone. But wait, you might be thinking, it looks like a calzone, so why can't we call it a calzone? The reason is this. Other than the shape, 韭菜盒 has pretty much nothing in common with a calzone. According to Wikipedia, a calzone is an Italian folded pizza made with leavened dough and baked in an oven. 韭菜盒, on the other hand, is made with unleavened dough and is fried in a pan. Not to mention that calzones are typically stuffed with pizza ingredients like mozzarella cheese and pepperoni, etc., while 韭菜盒 is typically filled with Chinese chives, eggs, and sometimes shrimp. To illustrate this a little more, let's flip it for a second. Imagine you are reading a review of an Italian restaurant, and the writer writes this. Wow, I really love their tomato ground beef chow mein. Sounds a little weird, huh? Because spaghetti and chow mein are completely different things, even though they're both noodle dishes. And so, in this instance, the writer of this article could have said instead, this 韭菜盒 looks like a calzone, to help the readers better understand what 韭菜盒 is. But to say that 韭菜盒 is a chive calzone is pretty disrespectful. And in addition to that, it's not that hard to find the actual name of 韭菜盒. The supermarket probably has it on their menu and you can look it up online. Okay, now let's talk about the usage of the word fusion. According to our good friend Wikipedia, fusion cuisine is cuisine that combines elements of different culinary traditions that originate from different countries, regions, or cultures. In other words, fusion food is food that takes elements from different cuisines and puts them together to create something new. An example of fusion food that I made on this channel is jjajangmyeon, which is the Korean take on the Chinese dish jjajangmyeon. It takes the Chinese dish jjajangmyeon and adds Korean flavors and Korean noodles to it to make jjajangmyeon. With that example, you can probably already see why 韭菜盒 is not fusion food. Because the creators of 韭菜盒 in China did not take any inspiration from calzones in Italy. They did not travel to Italy and see a calzone and think, wow, it would be pretty good with some chives and eggs inside. Instead, calzones and 韭菜盒 were created separately in two different places. That they happen to look similar is a happy coincidence. Probably because rolling out dough, putting stuff inside, and crimping the edges is not something that's particularly inventive. In fact, the same concept can be found on the complete opposite side of the world with empanadas. Are empanadas just Latin American calzones or Latin American 韭菜盒子? Of course not. They're their own thing. And so to call empanadas or 韭菜盒 fusion food is to disrespect our ancestors who came up with this food in the first place. In other words, it's not fusion food, it's just Chinese food. And I can see the writer's excitement about finding new delicious food at the Asian supermarket. But when you're writing an article that will be seen by a lot of people, it's important to be accurate. So my hope is that if the writer ever happens to stumble on this video, that they would learn from this experience and write about food in a way that respects its heritage. And whew, would you look at that? We're almost done making the 韭菜盒. Let's just look past the fact that I don't know how to crimp anything. But don't worry, because even if it comes apart a little bit while frying, it'll still taste good. Now all there's left to do is to fry these guys. I said I wouldn't talk about the recipe too much, but I do want to caution. Make sure you keep a close eye on your heat because it's pretty easy to burn these. And it's really sad when you've spent all that time making 韭菜盒 only to burn them in the end, so.
Can't move on. Whoa. Why did she go? Whoa. Was I supposed to know that she'd leave? Was I too naive to think that?
Yay! It's time to eat. In the end, I did burn them a little bit. But I thought that this was a pretty simple recipe to do on a weekend afternoon or something like that. Because both the dough and the filling aren't too hard to make. And of course, I'll be eating mine with some black vinegar and some congee on the side. And it turned out super delicious. My mom used to make these for me all the time when I was a kid. And so tasting these again brought back so much nostalgia, especially with the congee. The skin is just a little bit crispy, and the filling has the garlicky flavor of chives mixed with the umami flavor of the dried shrimp, which is all balanced by the black vinegar. If you've never had these or made these before, I highly recommend it.
Oh my god.
Well, that's it for today's video. I know it was a little bit different than what I usually make, but I really felt like this was something that I had to talk about. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something along the way. I do upload new videos trying recipes every Monday, so please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next week. Bye!